What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode number 50.
We should have planned something.
I know, we forgot. I forgot that it was number 50. But this is episode number 50 of the Infinity Flux Letters page. I'm Matt.
I'm Andy.
And this is our weekly live show where we just chat about comic books, right? We chat about comic books on New Comic Book Day. It is
because we talk about so many other things all the other times.
Right. We figured we'd do something different in this show and talk about comic books, unlike all of our other videos. So, so we are live on YouTube and TikTok up here. Facebook still isn't working for some reason, so apologies if you tried to watch on Facebook. But I've got a couple of folks here already. Bob Fisher, how is it going? Happy New Comic Book Day. Snyder Smith on TikTok says, Night Thrasher versus Batman. Is it a good fight? I mean, I love Night Thrasher.
Extreme fight.
I think I don't know how long Night Thrasher would last, but happy Wednesday, comic book fans, Guillotine Aficionado. How you doing? So yeah, this is the
Would it be would Night Thrasher and Batman? Would it be a traditional fight, or would it be like they get pulled into an extreme sports competition?
Oh man!
And Batman has his like bat blades versus Night Thrasher and his skateboard and
maybe. Doesn't he have a Screamer sticks too, or he has some kind of
something like that?
Yeah, bring Night Thrasher back. I love Night Thrasher. He popped up in something recently.
Yeah,
I thought
he was in a team.
Yeah,
that only lasted a couple of issues.
What's up, Larry? How's it going? That New Warriors book from 2020, the infamous Snowflake in Safe Space, all that. That book never came out, but say what you will, the design for Night Thrasher in that looked really cool.
See, we had like a trench coat or something, or
it was in the Avengers emergency response team.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was part of that, the Avengers ERS.
Yeah,
that miniseries. That was I think he popped up in that because they all had the white coats, which I thought looked really kind of dumb.
Yeah,
but Silhouette's an underrated New Warrior. She needs more love. Dude, bring the New Warriors back. I mean, I love the New Warriors, the classic ones, Nova, and I guess Nova's a little bit too busy now for the New Warriors, but Night Thrasher,
he might be almost too heavy. Like, you have a team that has Speedball and Nova on it.
Yeah.
What is the Speedball going to do?
You never know. Like, they'll find something for him to do, I guess. But so before we jump into the good stuff for today, let's talk about
the bad stuff.
No, let's talk about our picks of the week, because this was an interesting week. So number of books wise, this week was absolutely massive. Maybe the biggest week of the year so far, talking about just from the sheer quantity of books. I took home 31 books to read over the weekend for our Monday show. You took home like 25 or something like that. I've never taken home over 30 books before. So there was a ton of stuff. But also, weirdly enough, with that many books, not a lot of number ones.
Yeah.
It was just like number 2s and 3s, or just whatever else in the run. You know?
Yeah. But if we're talking about our picks of the week, I might have to go with Superman issue 39.
Interesting.
I just had a fun time with this. I think I know what your pick is,
right?
Which it might also have a S on his chest. But I don't know. I thought Superman was really fun. I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. I really like Corpse Night this week.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Corpse Night was really cool.
Yeah.
And then the one I know you're picking.
Yeah, so I had a 5-fecta, not a trifecta, but a 5-fecta, I guess. But my number one pick of the week was this. Yeah, Absolute Superman number 20. This thing is one big giant fight, and it's like an anime fight, and they're punching each other so hard that it's shaking the planet and causing problems with airlines and stuff like that, and Superman's having to fly around and save people while also being punched really hard by King Shazam, and it's epic. It's the most epic thing I think I've seen out of Absolute Superman, and I think one of them probably the most epic Absolute books there's been so far.
Which now I'm like, how do you top this? Like, what does he go up against next? Yeah. He already fought giant city-sized Parasite,
right?
And now, like, earth-shaking King Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be, I don't know. He needs to go up against.
I don't know where. I mean, where do you go from that? Well, he hasn't gone up against Lex Luthor yet.
Yeah.
The absolute version of Lex Luthor. He hasn't come into his own yet.
He seems like just a nice guy.
Yeah, he just wants to hang out.
He just wants to grill.
Yeah, he's a barbecue guy. But Absolute Superman. I thought Justice League number 20, Justice League Unlimited 20 was really good. Superman number 39 was really good. And then I think over at Marvel we had Captain America number 12, and that was amazing. And then I think my fifth one was Flash number 34, because that was such a fun story with an amazing double page spread that was basically modern day comic book version of Choose Your Own Adventure books from the 80s. And Bob says pick of the week is Death Fight Forever number 5. Interesting. I think I jumped off that on issue 2 or 3.
I didn't get Flash. I need to get Flash.
It's oh man, Flash is really good. So really interesting. That double page spread, like I said, it's really cool. It's one that I spent time just looking at it and following all the arrows and that kind of thing. So King Vader on TikTok, has your friend read Avengers 2018 to 2023, and is it a good read? Oh, did you read friends? That? I think they're talking about you, because I think we talked about this on my live stream, and I haven't read that run. That's the Jason Aaron run.
Yeah, I read most of it.
Ed McGuinness.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Ed McGuinness is good art on there. Yeah, it had like the Hulk story, the Red Hulk story later on, and everything. I read it for a little while. I mostly read it because of the name of Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness. Yeah. But I think once again, it was like, this is Avengers book, but it doesn't feel, why is this not the biggest book coming out?
Right. Yeah.
It didn't leave a lasting impression, we'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although that is where they introduced the Ghost Rider, like 10 million BC or whatever.
Yeah, well, the Avengers 10 million BC, and Ghost Rider was on a woolly mammoth, and Odin was part of it.
Odin and
Starbrand, I think.
Starbrand Firehair was like the host of the Phoenix Force. They kind of just looked like Jean Grey.
Yeah. I thought that was a little bit far-fetched.
I liked it.
It's like really 10 million years ago, and there were Avengers. That's a little weird for me. Bob Fisher, Escape 8 and Red Roots 3. Red Roots, we like that too. It was really weird.
Yeah.
We still don't know what's going on. I hope we get some answers soon. Nice sub WE shirt, Andy. Absolute Superman was amazing and epic. The Nightfall trailer looked amazing.
I haven't watched that yet. I guess I knew that they were making that, and then I just forgot.
Yeah, it's going to be like a 3-part animated thing.
I like the style of it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I haven't really liked the style of some of the more recent DC animated movies. They got a lot softer and a lot, I don't know, less interesting. Yeah. And then this comes out and it looks like a 90s comic.
Yeah.
Like big characters, big muscles.
66 issues for that Avengers. Vixen, what's up, Vixen on TikTok? I'm a Bumpkin's friend, even though he didn't make it to Heroes Con. I know. I'm sorry. Maybe next year. That's what I said last year about this year. But dude, that Nightfall trailer looked really cool. It's coming out. The first part's coming out fairly soon, and I guess I don't know if if each movie is gonna be Nightfall, Night Quest, Night's End.
Oh yeah.
Or because it looks like in the first movie we already get Azrael Batman. So maybe
I would have thought that would have been the end of the first part if they were doing it that way.
Well, I mean, it does make me a little bit nervous if they are going to condense each big piece of that into one movie. There's a lot that went on. I mean, each piece has an omnibus, right? So, so to condense those down into one animated movie, but maybe hopefully they're long enough.
Yeah.
But it looks good.
Then after that, they need to do No Man's Land. Because I think that would be a really cool animated.
Yeah, that could span several movies. That thing, there's I think there's 3 omnibuses of that, and then there's also the Road to No Man's Land omnibus. So really, all that stuff takes, and I just think in terms of omnibuses, because that's how many you can physically see how many comics, how many issues those things spanned. So I mean, we're talking for No Man's Land and Cataclysm. I mean, that was. If you're thinking in terms of omnibuses, that was well over 100 issues of something. So
let's hope we're seeing the return of the really good DC animated movies, because I love, the good long run they had of them.
Yeah,
Red Hood and New Frontier and Green Lantern, First Flight or whatever it was.
Yeah. Golly, if because we've seen how successful animation, pretty faithful adaptations of animation can be, with Invincible. So if they could do animated movies that are faithful adaptations of things like we got Nightfall, but things like Sinestro Corps War or Blackest Night or any of that kind of stuff. Identity or not Identity Crisis, Infinite Crisis, that kind of stuff. Do that. I would
do Identity Crisis, and then we'll all be sad.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Escape and Feral number 24. Yeah, Feral. I thought
Feral was interesting this week. One side was Feral, and you flip it over, and it's Stray Dogs.
Really? Stray Dogs is back?
Well, I think it's maybe like a little crossover or something, but it was a flip book with the dogs and the cats.
Huh.
And it looked like an old cover of Stray Dogs, which was, what kicked it all off.
I didn't know that. How's it treating you not to the Sacrificers ended? Feral's my longest running pull of night. Oh, Sacrificers was good too. GT says, oh, okay, gotcha. Feral flip book has been going on for about 2 issues now.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I just haven't looked at the back of a book.
Yeah, okay. Andy always stops reading halfway through.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So
I go, it turned upside down. I'm out.
Oh, gross. I don't want to do that. Yeah. So, have you read the Mighty Thor 2011 and 2012? Is that the Jason?
That's the Jason Aaron, Esau Ribic one. And I've read all of that, and it's phenomenal.
It's amazing.
It could be one of the best. I love like classic Thor, like Beta Ray Bill, that kind of stuff. But as like a single like running thing, the Jason Aaron run of Thor is
some of the best Thor ever.
It's some of the best Thor ever, and some of the best comics in the last 20 years. That's where they brought in Gore, but just that like he goes to that like library of the gods.
2011 seems a little early for Jason Aaron Thor, though, doesn't it? Isn't the Mighty Thor from 2011? Isn't that didn't Matt Fraction have a run on it for a while? And I don't remember. There was several different Thor, but King Vader. I don't remember the year, but we're talking about Jason Aaron's Thor. Whatever year that came out, that was amazing.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about, the Fraction one, which I didn't love.
Mm-hmm. I started reading the omnibus. It was a little bit slow, but it's a little slow. That's back from after like Siege, when Asgard was floating above Oklahoma.
Yeah,
that was way back.
But Siege is like 2009,
it was like 2008 or something.
2008 something. Also read Siege. Siege is great.
Yeah, Siege is great. Yeah, but whatever year it came out, Jason Aaron's Thor. That's what we're talking about.
To look
that's
for.
the one. That's the one that's awesome. Holy cow!
All the way through Jane Foster taking on the role of Thor, which is
all that stuff.
All part of kind of the same story.
Yeah, all that stuff. Okay, guys, we are going to go to our next part of the show, which is the DC Comics New 52 review. And today we are going to be talking about, let me get it here, and let me do this. And yes, we are going to be talking about Batgirl #1. So real quick before we get started, our New 52 review, this is where we are spending the next 52 weeks, I guess, talking about the #1 issue of all of the New 52 books. We're not going to go through every series and all of that stuff. We're just talking about the first issues because it's been 15 years since the New 52, so we want to revisit each #1 and just kind of see how they hold up. And some of these I have not read. I had not read Animal Man from last week. That was really good. And I don't think I had read this one either. So that's really cool.
And we had talked about before about like how big of a deal New 52 was. And I think it's interesting looking at now that we have the DC All In stuff right now, which is almost the same, but if it was executed better.
Right.
It was like, hey, great new jumping on points, but we didn't wipe out the continuity.
Yeah.
We didn't do any of that kind of stuff. So it is also fun to see kind of the juxtaposition between two takes on kind of line wide, open the doors and letting people try stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and this is a good example of that. So this is from Gail Simone and Adrian Seif.
A great Adam Hughes covers for the first volume of this.
I didn't grab what I guess is maybe the second printing cover. It was this, but red in the background. But I didn't grab a screenshot of that. But Adrian Seif is a great. I like the art in this, and isn't that the artist who did some controversial stuff
when he came on to X-Men Gold.
Right.
Quite a few years later.
Yeah.
But don't see his work anymore.
So this is interesting because this deals with let me try to get So this is the first time we had seen Barbara Gordon out of her wheelchair in years.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, this now 15 years later, we've seen her out of the wheelchair for 15 years, so it's not as much of a shock or a change anymore. I know there's a lot of people who prefer her as Oracle, still in the wheelchair, but the point I'm trying to make is, it's not that much of a stretch anymore because she's been out of it for so long. But when this came out, this was like, whoa, I haven't seen Barbara Gordon in the Batgirl costume in a really, really long time.
I mean, we've had, Cassandra Cain. We've had Stephanie Brown as Batgirl. We've been through many other Batgirls before getting back to Barbara. So, this was a really big deal. What's also really weird about this is this also shows that they didn't quite understand what the New 52 was going to be.
Right.
Because it was supposed to be like, these are brand new, jumping in stuff. You don't have to know anything else.
The universe literally rebooted from square one.
Yeah, and basically all the books are 5 years in.
Right.
That was kind of their thing of like, the characters have been doing whatever they're doing for 5 years. But also they kind of were like, Crisis on Infinite Earths happened and all this happened, and they started to backpedal a lot of that stuff. And so you had stories like this one that got a little confusing because, we had where Barbara had been in the wheelchair, but a lot of the events that led to that and that time frame just don't work.
Yeah.
In this new universe that's only been 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, this straight up references The Killing Joke. And she said that she was in the wheelchair for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then she also talks about, how she was Batman's mentor before that. But if the universe is only 5 years old, that means she could have only been Batman's mentor for 2 years. So, right, I mean...
And the stuff with Joker, like, that doesn't line up because of... he didn't come around till another later on in Batman's career. It was just a lot of it sounds good on paper, but when you really start parsing it out, a lot of this doesn't make sense. If you read this as this is just a continuation of Barbara Gordon's story, it does work, just not with the New 52 baggage that it brought on. Yeah,
really weird. And I mean, so straight out of the gate, this was one of the first New 52 books. And straight out of the gate, there was already inconsistencies with the timeline. Like, wait a second, how does this all work? And so that was the warning signs were there very early on. But I like this. I like this villain, whoever this is. I think the villain's name is Mirror. Yeah. Now, I haven't read past this, so I don't know why this person is going after these people who said, why did you survive? This person is going after people who survived tragedies, I guess. Yeah. And they're going after Barbara Gordon, I guess, because of how she survived getting shot by the Joker.
Yeah.
We don't really see them in this too much, but they do have a cool
towards
design.
Towards the end, we see.
And then, so, it just, I like this image. The foreshortening with the leg is a little bit weird. It's a little, it looks more like a knee, and maybe the leg should come down like that. But I like that shot. And I do like that, Barbara Gordon is, I like that they're acknowledging how she's a little bit rusty, even though it doesn't work out in the timeline.
Yeah.
But even taking on these guys who aren't much of a threat, she's a little bit slow. She's a little bit rusty. She does find herself falling off of a balcony, and
she talks about my upper body strength is really good right now, but my lower body strength isn't great.
Right.
And this set up the mystery of how is she walking again, and they didn't answer that for a very long time.
Did they ever get around to it though?
Yeah, it's something Batman made her a new.
Was it a chip?
It was like a chip and a metal spine and something.
Okay.
It was a little cheap.
It's funny because they, that's what they did in Arrow. Felicity got shot and she was in a wheelchair, but just for a few episodes. And then Curtis, who was Mr. Terrific in that show, made a chip, and I guess he also knew how to implant it into her, and so that allowed her to walk. So they did borrow that from this, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's just your typical reintroduction to Barbara Gordon, revisiting. But yeah, this. If the universe is new and you don't really have to know anything, it is kind of weird that they threw this in here. But they also did a pretty good job of recapping what happened to her, but just not why the Joker did it in the first place. But she goes.
This is also when Gordon, they DH'd him, so he doesn't have white hair. He has red hair, which is another thing. Like, it's kind of hard to tell how old Barbara is supposed to be at this point,
right?
But I guess she's like 18 or 19 because she's moving out and moving into a new place in this.
Yeah, I think she's definitely at least 18. She meets she moves in, meets a new roommate. So it's always interesting when you get like number one issues like this, and you're like, oh, there's a supporting character that we're gonna see for a while. And Jeffrey says, did I see somewhere that Lex Luthor gave Barbara Gordon a new robot spine? I don't know.
Possibly.
Maybe.
I don't. Man, it gets really muddled.
Doesn't she have that also in like the mainline books?
Yeah, she does now.
Yeah.
Because it's still in continuity that happened.
That happened. Yeah.
Even though that story wasn't originally meant to be.
It wasn't supposed to be in continuity, right? Thanks, Alan Moore. We're gonna take your unique one-off story and twist it and twist everything around it to make it all line up.
The end of it,
right? Yeah, they pick and choose which pieces they want to be canon. There we go. So yeah, she's meeting a new roommate. She is dealing. We're investigating the people that she took down. But then we get back to our mystery villain here, and I really like that villain. Like this villain made me want to read the next issue. Or maybe this first story arc if this villain is the villain of that arc. But I wanted to learn more about him. And there he is, right there.
His mask is like shattered glass, and he shows like a broken reflection of yourself back at him.
Yeah, that happened. He did that right. He showed the guy in the bed his reflection.
Yeah.
I wish I could find where that was, but shoots this guy in the head, and so a weakened. A little bit rusty Barbara Gordon Batgirl is now going to have to take on this guy, and I want to know more about him and why he's going after these people. I do think it's interesting that he's going after survivors, and he's going after Barbara Gordon because she was a survivor of her traumatic attack. And
in that scene, like that person pulls the gun on her and points at her, and she kind of freezes up because it's a reminder of Joker, and it's like, oh, this is some pretty interesting character development here about some lasting effects of this character.
Yeah, he are we blocking? There we go. He pointed the gun at my spine and I froze, and then that gives this guy time to throw him out the window. That looks very Andy Kubert right there. There's some Andy Kubert flavor to that.
The mouth open.
Yeah, and then I don't know. Is this Renee Montoya?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't think she came into it for a long time.
You just watched him die. You're a murderer.
That would have been a great cover for like a 70s Batman.
Yeah. I miss those kinds of covers.
Very accusatory covers.
Yeah.
But this issue, I'll say, doesn't feel as grandiose as maybe Animal Man #1 did, setting up a big story. This feels like
very localized
and very much like a continuation of if you're reading the previous run of Batgirl. That didn't exist at this point, but
yeah, I mean, there were a lot of Batgirl fans I do remember were upset with this because they undid the wheelchair, and all of a sudden, where's Cass?
Yeah,
where's Stephanie Brown? And I don't know, did they show up in the New 52? I can't even.
Stephanie Brown and
Cassandra Cain.
Stephanie Brown showed up in Batman Eternal, the weekly book.
Yeah.
That came out. That's where she came into it. And she was spoiler for like 5 minutes, but that was close to the end of the New 52. And Cassandra Cain, I think, also maybe showed up in that series, but very kind of dumbed down of her character.
I remember when Batman Eternal came out, there was a weird promo image that came out that had a whole bunch of Bat family members, and there was a blonde Nightwing. And there was a bunch of characters that we didn't know who they were, or they looked different. And it was a weird image, and it was never really explained who and why these characters were there. And nothing ever came of it either, because of course, this was around the time of the New 52, and nobody knew anything what was going on at that time, not even the folks working at DC. So it's a little bit strange. But yeah, I mean, this was pretty. Not a lot to say about this. This is just reintroducing. But I think the most remarkable thing, like I said, is
that's where he shows him his face.
There it is. Yeah,
you just see it from the back.
Yeah. I think that's the most remarkable thing about this is that it was the reintroduction of Barbara Gordon as Batgirl, whereas nowadays we've had her as Batgirl for 15 years. And
she's kind of back to more of an Oracle style character now.
I like her more in the Oracle role, but going out as Batgirl in an emergency.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we need all hands on deck to handle this riot. I'm going to suit up, but if you don't need me out there, I'll sit in the chair and run point for you guys. So
I like Batgirl, Barbara Gordon as a little bit older of a character, like Dick Grayson now as Nightwing. They're a little bit older. They can mentor some up and coming characters.
Yeah, I do.
And she's kind of put in a responsible role of like, okay, like Spoiler and Cassandra Cain are like kind of under you as
like that Batgirls series that was out a few years ago. Yeah, I do like a maybe mid to late 20s Barbara Gordon. You know, she's still young, but she's experienced and she can mentor other people, like you said. But yeah, so this was this was one of the big changes in the early days of the New 52 was Barbara Gordon back. And nowadays it doesn't seem like it, but it's just funny reading these early pages because she's like, oh, I'm rusty and oh, I haven't been in the suit and all that. And I'm like, I just read you. I just read about you the other day. Oh wait, this was 15 years ago and she hadn't been that way for a long time. So so I liked it all right. It wasn't.
I think it definitely is like one of the mid tier.
Yeah.
No, I know there's a lot of people who really like this run, but I just don't think it started off really strong. But I do think this first villain is really interesting as you go along. I don't remember everything, like who it ends up being or whatever, but I do remember this. People were a little shaky on it first, and after a little while, they're like, "Oh yeah, the Batgirl series is good."
The only thing about this, and is my critique of a lot of New 52, is just the overly armored, all the lines and all the different panels and stuff, like on the legs there. And
I like the yellow and black.
I do like that.
I think that looks really cool. Yeah. Just take away the like weird ribbing and the boots that look like she could go to space with them and stuff.
I never minded Batman or Batgirl or anybody having like these sort of armored gauntlets because it's like, oh, you can put stuff in there. You can.
And Batman's shown like he like stops like someone with a sword and he can like break it.
Yeah, I don't mind
that.
They
feel pretty utilitarian.
Yeah.
But her knee pads that are the bat symbol.
Yeah.
That's a bit much.
It's a little. It's overkill, and I'm sure artists see that and like, oh, I have to draw that every panel.
Thanks, Jim Lee, for designing this and then giving it to me to try to replicate.
You don't have to draw these, but you designed them, but you don't have to draw them every panel, Jim Lee. Thanks for that. But I like it though. I like this better than I never really liked the Batgirl of Burnside costume. I feel like that whole era they feel like they maybe de-aged her a little bit.
It definitely had that feeling.
And I like her, like you said, a little bit older, but yeah, this is a cool costume. The black and the gold and the purple.
It's a little bit like but with a cowl, but a little bit like All-Star Batman and Robin. She had that same just straight yellow bat symbol on top of black. And I've always liked that for her.
Oh, Bob Fisher doesn't love the purple cape. I think it's cool. I think it fits with this
color
scheme.
It does give a little splash of color.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if we got to give this one a rating, we don't have something that's in the middle, but
I'd say it's good enough, I think, for
I think it's a New 50 woo, but I think the woo is a little subdued.
Yeah, it's a little bit indifferent. It's a New 50 woo.
Yeah. If someone was like, hey, would you recommend this run of Batgirl? I'd be like, I mean, there's probably some better.
Yeah.
But this was pretty harmless.
Yeah.
It's Gail Simone. It is solid writing. I think Gail Simone was also hampered by the restrictions.
Yeah, a lowercase woo. A less enthusiastic woo.
Yeah. No exclamation
mark, right.
But Gail Simone's great. I think that she also had to do some gymnastics to make this work. And I think she did the best with what she was given.
That's what they were doing back then. I'm just trying to do the best I can with this weird
We're gonna get back to Gail Simone when we get to Fury of Firestorm, which she co-wrote. But but for now, woo.
Yeah, so that's Batgirl number 1. Do we know what the book next week is?
Oh, I was just looking at it. It's something decent.
Well, I hope so. Although there are some that aren't.
Oh, I didn't. I don't know right off.
Okay. We'll try to make a YouTube post about what the next book is going to be, because we're going in more or less publication order, release date order.
Yeah, they're released by order and by week, and within that week alphabetical.
Right.
And that was goes back to an old handout that DC put out around the time where you could keep track, and it was like a little checklist of all the books.
Yeah, so check back on YouTube here in the next day or two, and we'll make a post about what is next. But yeah, there it is for our New 52 review this week. Batgirl number 1 was a New 50 Woo. Yeah. Okay. Try to put those little breaks in there so we can clip this out later. But yeah, so saw some stuff in the chat while we were talking about that, and not trying to ignore you guys, but we wanted to do this, and then we can just chit chat afterwards. And I like this question from Jeffrey. Halfway through the year, what is the best comic of the year so far? For me, it's either. Actually, for me, it's Superman, the mainline Superman book. It's phenomenal. Both, what was going on during DCKO, what we've had since then. To me, it has leapfrogged Absolute Batman, because as much as I love Absolute Batman, this new story arc is just a little bit overstuffed, a little bit crowded, a lot of different plot lines. So yeah, if you mean like best comic, like the series, I think for me it's Superman.
Yeah, I don't know about single issue. It'd be hard for me to. We read so many to break it down into which number. I actually thought you were going to go with Absolute Batman, and so I was going to say Superman. But
it's close though. But that deciding factor was the amazing Superboy Prime story we've had in the last few months, and then the really overstuffed Absolute Batman story arc that we've had in the last couple months. So that's what shifted those. But they're real close though.
Yeah, and I really like the current Batman, the regular
Batman,
regular Batman run, the Matt Fraction one. I really, really like it. It hasn't been around as long as the Superman run, but it feels similar in kind of the take they're going with, how they're like treating the character.
Yeah.
They're not similar in how they act or anything, but I like we've talked about it a million times, the Batman that's not as grim and gritty,
not as angry.
Not as angry, relies on his family more. Right. Interesting mysteries, the stuff with Joker and the tank. I thought that was a great issue.
Yeah. Which they haven't done anything with that.
Right.
So I want them to go back to that.
So yeah, I would say it's all kind of up there. But I would also have to say probably Superman. If I'm thinking about like, we take our books and it's like, what's the first thing I want to read? It's usually Superman and Absolute Batman. But again, I mean, we talked about it in our end of year thing. Fantastic Four is also phenomenal. It's just a solid. It doesn't surprise me. It just delights me.
Yeah. I tend to G Black on TikTok really likes the Superboy Prime storyline. That's been really cool. And G Black, thanks for all the heart me's and the coins and stuff on TikTok. We really appreciate it. I think I think my top 3 maybe would be Superman, Absolute Batman, and Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight has leapfrogged Fantastic Four for me as my favorite Marvel book, but again, just barely. I mean, they're nipping at each other's heels, which is great, right? It's great that there's so many different books that are so great that are just like barely. It's like I don't really know which one to pick over which one, but Moon Knight for me is just like phenomenal. But when we take our books home on the weekend, I usually try to maybe like get some of the ones I'm less excited about out of the way, really? And then save it's like, oh, okay, I'm done with those. I've got my notes done for those. Now I can sort of relax and read the really exciting ones. But sometimes I can't wait. Sometimes I read Absolute Batman at the beginning. Ooh. Bleeding Hearts is a candidate, yeah.
There's a loaded question.
This right here? Was Hush too bad? I liked it. What did you two think? I got the giant size version. Wow. Do you got each issue of the big giant size ones? Those are pretty to look at.
Yeah.
The story wise, I don't even know what the story was. Was there a story? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't want to we never want to talk down on a book,
right?
Especially because stuff like this, you liked it. That's awesome. Yeah. I wish I loved it.
Yeah.
I think part of it is it's hard coming in with a title of Hush 2, considering and Hush 1 is not a flawless book, but it pretty much encapsulates Batman in a way that's very like easy to give to somebody and be like, look, this is Batman. It has like a majority of his rogues gallery in it. It has Superman. It has like, you see Batman interact with a lot of different corners of his universe.
Lots of action, fantastic artwork. The fact that there's been a million different collections of Hush. It's an easy book, a physical book to hand to somebody is read this as your first Batman story.
I think issue with Hush 2 comes from, one, the delays, which we can't help, but it didn't help my reading experience, being able to keep up with it. I do think there was a lot of characters introduced that I don't really know what they contributed to the overall story. I think the characterization is our biggest problem with it, because we have seen the characters grow so much since the original Hush. This feels more like we took a step back and the characters are not necessarily acting like themselves. I don't think that the Bat family would turn on Batman that fast, or the Batman would turn against them. Batman holding a gun, I know it's not the first time, but it felt uncomfortable.
It was weird that first issue where he shot Red Hood in the head. I mean, it bounced off his helmet, and Batman probably knew that would happen. But man, that just felt out of character. You know?
Yeah, there was just some things like that were just like, I want to love this, but I just don't. I don't understand Riddler's redesign.
Yeah,
that kind of just came out of nowhere.
He hit the gym, man. He's you know.
It was just a lot of things happening, and I didn't really understand why they were happening.
Characters showing up just because they needed to be there there wasn't really a story reason why they were there. They just needed to be there, so they were.
And then it ended, and I don't really know what the story was.
Yeah,
I couldn't recount to you the story even in a brief sense. Hush was there, then he wasn't there, and then we changed the focus to Talia, who wasn't really even like hinted at early on, and I don't know. I personally did not love it.
If you want to see a lot of Batman, Bat family members, and also villains, that's the book to get because there's tons of characters in there. I did like that new character. Is his name Silence?
Yeah.
He kind of has the Black Bolt type power. I thought he was cool, but he wasn't in it enough, and we didn't really get to know much about him. But I thought he was cool being there. Let's be fair, nothing beats the Pizza Detective. Oh, man. I haven't read that one.
I read it when it was the backup in some of the Bad Idea books, but I haven't read any of the recent stuff.
Bob Fisher likes a lot of the Ignition Press books. Same. Ripcord, Showdown, Arcadia. I really liked Voyeur, which was the first one. Ripcord. That's the one with the girl in Australian outback, right?
Yeah, that one's really cool. Good. That one took a crazy turn.
Yeah,
and I thought it was really cool. Like the first two issues of that, it was like, this is good. I have no idea where this is going, and then you got to the next one, you're like, oh,
yeah,
I get it now. And that was I do really like that one.
Yeah.
There's been some. I mean, the beauty is good.
I'm trying to think. There's another one that I really liked. It came out. Oh, Murder Podcast was cool. We fell off that one though, and the collected edition came out or it's coming out. Some of those earlier ones I really liked. This newer one that came out. Oh shoot, the guy who's the empath.
Bad Thoughts.
Bad Thoughts. Yeah, that one's really cool. I mean, we've said it before in a lot of our videos, but Ignition Press is cool because they're a fairly young publisher, but they already have a lot of different series, and they all feel different. They're not like, I'm a new superhero publisher. It's like, oh, we have horror books and crime books and romance books and sci-fi. Yeah, so, I mean, good job on them for being new and releasing a slew of different books, and they all feel different. So
that new one coming out about the delivery guy who's like Die Hard, but with a UPS guy.
Yeah, right. And, we have the ash can for that, don't we? Or there was a preview or something like that. So Ignition Press, good for them. Larry Smith wants to know any thoughts on why Captain Marvel doesn't resonate with fans. Marvel promotes her, but readers never seem interested. I think it's because she has no life outside of flying in space. So that's kind of what I think too, and this isn't a negative. It's I'm saying this more as a factual thing. She doesn't really have a lot of a supporting cast. She doesn't really have a rogues gallery. Again, I'm not knocking her. It's just a fact of the character. So it's like it's hard. I think it's sometimes hard to tell solo stories with her, because it's like with Spider-Man, oh, he can fight Doc Ock, or he can fight Sandman, and he can have lunch with Mary Jane and talk to Flash Thompson. But Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, doesn't really have any of that stuff.
I feel like a lot of the space characters
Yeah.
do suffer from kind of a lack of, they work really well in teams, but they don't have a whole lot of individual stuff. Now, so Captain Marvel does work really well for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. There is some huge fans of Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. That's where the whole Carol Core thing came in. That was mostly Kelly Sue DeConnick writing her that really like meshed, but that left a lot of lasting Captain Marvel fans. I think one of the hard things is now we're seeing a lot of miniseries and things that don't really seem to get off the ground. No pun intended for a character like that, but I do think there is a kind of an interesting thing there, because I don't know. At least for us, it's like neither of us dislike Captain Marvel.
Well,
and you really like that.
The Kelly Thompson run of Captain Marvel, I only read the first half.
You got the omnibus.
I got the omnibus, and I tore through that thing. I didn't like the first story arc. The first 6 issues, I was like, oh man, I don't know what I'm getting into. But after that whole omnibus, it was one of those where you just keep turning the page. It's so good. And there's some amazing issues in there where she fought the Avengers for reasons, and she fought Thor to a standstill. And I love that run. The second half of that just came out in omnibus. I think it was last week. So I'm very excited to read that. So I loved that Kelly Thompson run, at least what I read of it. But then, after her run, it was just a bunch, like you said, it was a bunch of miniseries, and it was a bunch of, and I'm not the biggest fan of miniseries that are still in continuity. If you're going to do a miniseries, give me something I've never seen before. But there was just a lot of little 5 and 6 issue deals, or that 10 issue series that I didn't much care for. So it sort of depends on the writer and the story and the creative team. I think take Captain Marvel, put her give her a story where she's on a big, like, epic quest all through space. Kind of like put her on a story that was kind of like Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, where it's like this spans months, and she goes all across the galaxy to all different planets, and like where she has a goal in mind. Put her out in space. I feel like, I wonder if she gets maybe hamstrung by the Avengers sometimes. Yeah. Where, because she's always part of the Avengers, she's always on Earth, which means every villain they fight, she just like laser blasts them and punches them, and that's about it.
Nova has the same problem. Nova doesn't work as well when he's on Earth as when he's fighting big galactic things. Put Captain Marvel, like, have her try to set up a Avengers space and pull in some of the other characters and have her as that role. I don't know, because I do look at it when one is announced, and I'm like, am I excited about this? Usually the last one I was a little excited about, because they were referencing her time as Miss Marvel.
Right.
Which
that's the current one.
Yeah, which I felt like they ignored for so long that I was like, okay, now you're kind of acknowledging her wider story.
Right.
And I think maybe that could start getting more interesting, because she's been around for a long time. Don't ignore that.
Yeah. You could take Captain Marvel, put her with Nova, make some kind of new Guardians of the Galaxy team, but like put these guys on it. But the problem with stories like that is that, at least lately, is that they always feel really overly complicated. Like, it seems like there's always like, okay, we're going to have a new story in space, but it's going to feature a whole bunch of different alien races and a whole bunch of different characters.
A lot of space politics.
Exactly. And it's a lot to keep up with.
And throw a couple of Infinity Stones in there.
Yeah,
because they can't do anything in space without Infinity Stones.
Yeah, so just like, maybe launch a new Guardians with Carol, with Nova, maybe, I don't know I don't think you throw in Silver Surfer, but there's plenty of other space characters. Throw in Rocket Raccoon, send them on a big galaxy spanning adventure, but don't make it overly complicated. Like, we are going on this big adventure because of one reason. And we're going to stay on this one goal, and we're going to follow these breadcrumbs to this thing. Do something like that, and I think it would be fun. After Kelly Thompson, Captain Marvel hasn't had the greatest creative teams on a few books, so I think
and a lot of creative teams that just weren't allowed to cook.
Yeah.
With miniseries, it's like get in, say what you want to say, and get out. Whereas if you give somebody an ongoing series, maybe they can start developing some of these stories, and you can't really do that with miniseries.
Yeah,
you can kind of only focus on one idea.
Yeah, they could even maybe not borrow story elements, but like look at how popular Absolute Wonder Woman is, because they did something different with Wonder Woman that we've never seen before. Do something like that with Captain Marvel. You could probably still do it in continuity, but just like do something, I don't know, do something else. And maybe I don't really like her costume, ever since she got the jacket, and I don't really like that.
Yeah, she's kind of had some weak outfits. I didn't really like the mohawk hair.
Yeah.
I don't know. Give her, I don't know, change her color scheme. Make it where you look at it and you're like, oh, I want to know why all that's different.
I do miss the Miss Marvel days. It's not a knock against. I don't have a problem with her being Captain Marvel, but I miss the Miss Marvel days in the black leotard with the sash and the long hair and the mask, because I felt like she was a genuine superhero.
Right. She wasn't a space character at that point.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. I liked her as a superhero.
She's a great member of the Avengers during that time.
Yeah. She wasn't quite as cosmic level. I just liked her as a superhero, and like Wonder Woman, we see her do some stuff like that. Marvel anthology series called Space Adventures. So many stories there, including Captain Marvel. Yeah. Agree on the costume. Why does she need a jacket? Right. It's always weird when characters have jackets who don't need them. Nova has one in the current Guardians. Where I'm like, why does Nova have a leather jacket on?
I kind of like when Hal Jordan has a leather jacket, though, because I feel
when he's Green Lantern, though?
Yeah, I feel like he's just like, I don't know, I'm not taking this off.
I think it looks cool.
I think he would think it looks cool, and so he keeps wearing it. But yeah, I think maybe just give Captain Marvel, like you said, kind of an absolute treatment, not an ultimate treatment. Don't be don't make it a separate universe. Just change stuff around enough that makes people notice, and then send her in a path that we're not used to.
Yeah.
Because if what's currently happening isn't working for the majority of people, try something new.
Yeah. Yeah, because I would love it where I love the idea of a story that grabs people, it's a story where it's like, dude, are you reading Captain Marvel? Like that thing's crazy. Like, did you read the new issue of Captain Marvel? That thing is bonkers. I love those kinds of stories where it's like, dude, did you see that? Give her an artist that can really draw, like Daniel Warren Johnson. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, really cool aliens.
Yeah. Oh, Beta Ray Bill. Put him on the new Guardians team. Beta Ray Bill, Captain Marvel, Nova, Rocket Raccoon. There's
Quasar.
Yes, Quasar. Or Darkhawk, they've made him a lot more space character. And just put them on a big space adventure, but don't bog it down with space politics and all these different alien factions.
Yeah, because Imperial could have been. I mean, the art in it was fantastic.
Yeah,
but it was very bogged down with the different factions, and you got the Skrull who were pretending to be the Kree, and they're doing stuff, and after a while you're just like, I can't really keep up with who's who and why they're doing what they're doing,
which factions are on the same side and which one is attacking the other ones. It was a lot to keep up with, so scale it back a little bit. I like the idea of a big space epic, but just don't make it too, make it easily digestible.
Yeah.
To where it's you can remember what happened.
And just take that across the board with Marvel cosmic stuff. Just ease up a little bit.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. This is an idea that I had yesterday, and we've done our fair share too. But like, I feel like I'm kind of over the Marvel bashing.
Yeah.
And we give them a little bit of a hard time as well. But I think I saw a TikTok video, and a guy wasn't really being overly mean, but he was talking about a lot of the blunders they've made recently, and he wasn't wrong. But I feel like I'm a little bit over that because Marvel is doing a lot of things right now. If it was like Marvel is making a bunch of weird decisions and also none of their books are good, then it's like, what are you doing? But I feel like their blunders overshadow the really good work they're doing on things like Fantastic Four and Moon Knight and Captain America. Armageddon seems like it's off to a good start.
Punisher,
Daredevil, Punisher, Iron Man is pretty good. Infernal Hulk is getting crazy. Mortal Thor is awesome. X-Men's been good since the beginning. It's like, yes, they make a lot of bonehead decisions. And the big red flag that does need to be addressed is, the Greg Capullo thing where he said he hasn't been paid, and his inker Jonathan Glapion hasn't been paid. That needs to be addressed. Absolutely. You shouldn't ignore that. But outside of that one major issue, I feel like I want to lift up all the good things they're, because they are doing a lot of good things, and it just gets overshadowed with like, I can't believe they ended the Ultimate Universe, and what's this weird Midnight Universe, and things like that. It's like, well, sure, that stuff's weird, but they've got a lot of really good books out right now.
Yeah. I do want
yes,
I want them to get to a point where I get a little bit more excited when they announce something, because I do feel like they put out it's just factual. Like, you can look at numbers. They put out more stuff than anybody.
Yes.
And I think my thing is just maybe a little bit more unified of a vision for the entire universe.
Yeah.
Not that they all have to be tied together, but have that they feel a little bit more that they all exist in the same universe. We've talked about that problem where it's like, it doesn't really feel like the Amazing Spider-Man's going on in the same world that like X-Men are going on in right now. I would like a little bit more, a single palette for the Marvel universe. And I mean, they kind of did it with Doom, but just less heroes fighting heroes. That is still a thing that they like to do, and we don't need that.
Right. But they're doing good work, and I think they should get credit for the good things they're doing, because again, like, Moon Knight is phenomenal. Everybody should be reading Moon Knight. Fantastic Four is a fun, just romp, a fun adventure book every single month. So they're doing a lot of good stuff, and hey, Marvel, dial back on the miniseries or something like that. That would be my number one thing if I were running the ship over there. Let's cut out all these miniseries. Let's just focus on our core books. We don't need all these 5-issue deals or whatever. But yeah, I mean,
well, I think if you cut down on those, you could maybe put the spotlight on other stuff. A lot better.
Yeah. They've got a rampaging Infernal Hulk and a Red Hulk rampaging at the same time. Well, yeah, you're not wrong. And we are going to get there's, I guess, after Armageddon's done and whatever happens with the Red Hulk there, next year is going to be the big Infernal Hulk war thing. So yeah, they got a Hulk problem for sure. The feelings I get from fans and why we feel so right to complain is that they really ooze big company. So we naturally want to push back some. DC seems lately to be creator friendly. I agree. I do agree with you. But again, I don't feel like there's so much big company when I'm reading Moon Knight, Fantastic Four, Captain America. It does feel like Chip Zdarsky, at least the stuff that he's working on, it feels like that's his idea instead of editorial and Marvel corporate idea. So again, it's like, I agree with you, but I'm just kind of tired of harping on that stuff. I'd rather focus on the real good stuff they're doing. But again, we've done it too, and I've done it plenty on my TikTok live streams. It seems like every time I do it, the conversation goes to Marvel and like their weird decisions and things like that. But they also have good stuff, and that deserves to be highlighted as well. And and speaking of that stuff, we've got
this is. I mean, I'm sure people have a lot of thoughts about this, even though we know next to nothing about it yet.
And I'm really trying to get this here. Yeah. So we got some new, some new information about just the various Midnight books. We got a little bit of a look at Fantastic Four and X-Men. We saw this. I'm going to have to swap this right here. Yeah. So we did get this look at real quick Spider-Man, Midnight Spider-Man, and that does look pretty creepy. Like, it seems like maybe Peter won't be a big
hairy
spider, which is good, but it's like, oh, he actually has a big giant mutant spider.
The spider bit him and didn't let go.
Right, it latched to his chest. It's like,
I hope he still goes to like a science fair as a teenager. They're like, look at this foot-long spider, and it just jumps onto him. And,
so he has to like wear like 3 layers to hide it or whatever. So that looks pretty cool. I mean, I'm interested in reading that, and Philip Kennedy Johnson's excitement about this gets me a little bit excited about it. But this is the one that we know the least about. But we did get some interesting stuff about. Well, first things first is with this midnight stuff, they pushed everything back to October 7th, and all 3 midnight books are going to come out on that day, and no other Marvel books are coming out on October 7th. So that's a bold move. That
I don't want to say it's a good idea or a bad idea. I think it's a bold move and probably a smart move. Now, I think their options could have either been release them all at the same time, or release one a week with the regular books. But I think they would have gotten buried if all 3 came out and everything else came out at the same time.
It's kind of like Marvel saying, we're gonna force you to read these midnight books because that's all that's coming out that week. I mean, obviously you can choose to not buy them, but if you want a Marvel book that week, that's all you get. So
it's going to be a good week for our Monday show. We don't have to read as much.
Oh yeah, so bold move. What I am interested in though is this information that we got about Ultimate X-Men, Midnight X-Men.
Ultimate Midnight
That's
X-Men.
going to be a hard transition talking about Midnight X-Men. But this is a little bit about Midnight X-Men number 2. I don't know if coming in November. I don't know what the date is. But I like the synopsis here. Can I blow this up? That says the piece between the unturned mutants, so they're not all going to be vampires, and the empires, which I guess are the mutant vampires. It's a fragile one. And that sounds a little bit like DC versus vampires, where there was like a very fragile alliance between the vampires and the non. But no group dares to move against the other because they might spark a war. Only one man is brave enough to openly stand against the empires and put down as many of them as he can. This is the story of Cyclops Vampire Hunter. That's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
I think that sounds pretty cool because we had talked about, after seeing the cover for the first one, what Nightcrawler kind of being like
a priest
who hunts vampires. And I thought
G Black says is also during Halloween season.
Yes.
I think the releasing in October is very smart.
It's very smart. That makes me a little bit more excited to read them because
when we read a book and we're like, why didn't this come out in October? Or it feels like it missed the season. They planned this right, and I think that is a very smart.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I do want to read in October, so that's gonna help me along. So it would have been cool, I think, if it had been like Nightcrawler Vampire Hunter, but Cyclops being Vampire Hunter, it seems pretty cool. I like that look for him. I think you said you didn't, right?
I don't necessarily love it.
I think it's cool.
So my thing with this is, for one, I'm very interested. And not saying like I don't think they can do it. I'm just interested. How are these feel like miniseries? How are these going to be that big of a world to continue? But also, my only thing with the X-Men is it feels like a little bit of a hat on a hat of like there's mutants, but there's also vampires. I was like, my thought originally was like, instead of mutants, like all mutants are vampires. But this feels like, oh, there's some that are and some that aren't. Then it feels a little bit like the vampire event that X-Men did, where Jubilee was a mutant and a vampire.
And is it where there's mutants and there's vampires and there's vampire mutants? Because are there going to be vampires that aren't mutants but who turn the mutants into vampires?
Yeah.
Or are all vampires mutants?
Yeah, and just that, this looks like pretty traditional X-Men. Like, Scott's got his visor and everything.
Zach, it hasn't come through yet on the Zach. Cyclops looks like Zach Galifianakis, but like a swole, like a Zach Galifianakis that works out. Yeah.
But this is like, I guess I don't. My other thing is I don't see a big enough genre shift towards vampire. I see X-Men with vampire, not like a more cohesive of the two. But we haven't read it. I don't know. It could work really well. It just feels weird that it's like, he's got a visor too, and he can shoot optical blasts. A lot of this and like should vampires really be that big of a problem then? If you can just like blow them up with your eyes? But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I just feel like this one I have the most questions about.
Well, and it does seem a little bit weird too, because if this is the Midnight Universe,
are they connected?
I think so.
I guess that's a question we haven't really asked yet.
I just kind of assumed. But it does seem weird that in this universe, if
I'd
they
hate
are
to live in this universe.
I know, right? It's like, oh gosh, there's mutant vampires, and there is a guy with a giant mutated spider on his chest, and there's whatever the heck the Fantastic Four bring to this planet. Like, this sounds like horrible, but it also does kind of sound like what we had said would be a cool idea for a new universe, is one where it's like the bad guys won, and I'm not even talking about to the level of the Absolute universe where the heroes are underdogs, but it's like, no, this is a pretty dark universe, and the heroes are the ones that are
really having to push.
They're the ones having they're more like an underground rebellion than anything else. Like, sorry, I got hair in my mouth. So I'm on board. I think this sounds interesting enough to definitely check out. I mean, obviously we're going to read it anyway so that we can do our preview video about it and tell you guys about it. But I mean, I'm a little bit.
Do you think there's going to be a single instigating act that causes the Midnight Universe?
I feel like no. I feel like it's just
always been this way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like we're just going to get these number ones, and it's just it's just going to start.
You know, Morbius farts on the cosmic cube, and it rewrites reality into this or something.
Yeah. I don't think so. Why are all comics going dark? Cheer up.
That's what Superman is about.
Right.
Superman is very, very hopeful.
That's why we have DC right now. They're pretty cheerful, I guess. Especially this week's issue of Flash. It's a delight.
Okay.
It's so much fun. But yeah, so I'm on board for this. And then we also got a little bit first look.
I'm maybe most excited about Fantastic Four because I feel like this one, on the other hand, is kind of the perfect, like, yeah, of course, this is a story they would tell. Is, you know, the Fantastic Four dabbling in cosmic things they probably shouldn't, and what do they unleash?
Yeah,
that feels like something they could really do.
Yeah, this look. So it does look like we are maybe gonna have the Fantastic Four at least be similar. I guess you've got Thing, who's a big rocky guy, and Human Torch, and she looks like she's going invisible.
It just looks like maybe Reed Richards is a little more sticky, and he can't like cleanly break himself apart.
But yeah, an obsessive scientist delves into the secrets of the universe, perhaps best left unknown to humankind, leaving himself and three others warped in strange and horrifying ways. See, I like the body horror aspect of that.
Yeah, it works very well for Fantastic Four.
What horrible secrets lie in the new dimensions they have discovered? How can humanity survive the discovery? You know, it's a little bit Lovecraftian, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, even seeing the lighthouse and all of that does give some New England creepiness.
Yeah, there's not a lot to look at here, I guess, but you know, Kev Walker's pencils.
I think it worked. I think this one works really, really well, and I'm excited about.
This is probably the one that I think that has the biggest potential for this dark Midnight Universe.
I can see the scope of this one.
Yeah.
Like if you say, "Oh, this is an ongoing," I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I could see this as an ongoing series." Maybe Spider-Man 2. We just know little enough about it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like we've gotten the solicitation for Midnight X-Men #2, and we have this sort of early look at Fantastic Four, but there's nothing about Spider-Man yet.
Yeah,
and that's the big question mark for me. But I'm trying to see a horror universe line of comics featuring familiar figures. Yeah, I don't. I just assumed that they all took place in the same universe. Which like you said, sounds like a pretty terrible universe to live in, right?
Yeah.
I like Benjamin Percy as a writer. Yeah.
He's a cool guy too. He came on our show. You can go back and check that out.
He sat right there, and we got to interview him a couple of years ago. It was really cool because it was when that's when Predator versus Black Panther was coming out. And so we talked to him about that, and then afterwards, when we were done, he's like, he's like, we're not recording anymore. And we're like, yeah. He's like, cool, because one thing I couldn't tell you guys is I'm working on something, a big story involving Dr. Doom, and that was
Red Hulk.
And did he say Red Hulk?
Yeah, he told us he's like, I'm writing Red Hulk coming out.
Yeah, and so of course that was before One World Under Doom had even been announced, and I was like, oh, I love Doom, I love Red Hulk, so that's going to be cool. And it ended up being that. So yeah, that was pretty neat to hear. He didn't give us too many details, but he did tease on.
He's a cool guy, and this is a I think this is a good fit. Like, he's a good writer for this universe.
Because what did he say? Let's be honest, any other circumstances, Marvel wouldn't let me write Fantastic Four. I'm too mean and evil for the first family. But this is the dark continuity of the Midnight Universe, a fresh origin for the characters that channels cosmic, Lovecraftian terror, which makes it a perfect match for me. Mad science and cults and hidden realities away. Mad science and cults and hidden realities. That sounds pretty. That's the kind of stuff I like to read about, The pacing is patient, full of dread, mystery, and rich with a mythology that I feel both familiar and uncanny. So I mean,
is there any other character or team that you would like to see?
I mean,
through this lens, the easy one is to say Moon Knight, Blade, Ghost Rider.
That's where I was going, but
that is the obvious. Is there one that's maybe not as obvious that maybe you don't immediately think of horror when you think about it?
Well, I mean, the Hulk might be a good one because Hulk is a monster himself, So how do you? Of course, I guess we're kind of getting that in Infernal Hulk right now, but if you take a monster like the Hulk and you put him in a Midnight Universe like this. It's just like monsters fighting monsters all the time. Daredevil would be interesting.
That's the one I was about to say.
Okay.
I was thinking Daredevil, but maybe a little bit like the book Excommunicated. Like, he has to cast out demons.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's blind, but he's the only one who can, like, sense demons in people. I think
maybe he's the priest who hunts vampires.
I feel like he would be an interesting one to navigate this universe.
He could be like not necessarily Nick Fury bringing people together, but he's the connective tissue. He's like, I'm familiar with what's going on with vampires over there, and I'm familiar with the weird stuff the Fantastic Four are doing, and he sort of like gets involved in all of that stuff, or at least he keeps a record of it. Doctor Strange would be another one, maybe.
I feel like he would play into the Fantastic Four pretty well.
Craig the Geek says a reimagination of Sleepwalker, dude. This would be a cool way to bring Sleepwalker back, is like, it's all about dreams and things like that.
You got to think of like maybe the different. So we got vampire, we've got Lovecraftian horror, we've got whatever Spider-Man's going to be. I guess it's. At first, we thought it's going to be almost like a werewolf type, like he turns into a thing. But what's another genre of horror? Like a paranormal investigator. Type thing. I can't think of who I would want in that role.
Like, so if you think about like the Conjuring movies and the Warren family, like people who, but I guess that maybe would be what Daredevil does, like exorcising, demons or cleansing haunted spirits out of places, that kind of thing. Ghostbuster, right? Yeah, Bob Fisher, a Ghostbuster. If you want a female, you could put Black Widow in there. That's how we get our Captain Marvel story. Craig Deek says Jessica Jones and Luke Cage.
That would be a cool, like they're
the Warren family.
Yeah.
They're the I don't remember their names,
but then Luke Cage just punches them.
Yeah.
A ghost? Let me punch you.
Yeah, Jessica Jones is the one who sort of brings them to the forefront, and then he just like pops them in the face, and they're done. Midnight Black Panther.
Oh, that could be really cool as like a jungle horror, maybe like Predator.
Oh yeah,
but with like Black Panther, like I don't know, make him do that thing where you make him kind of like feral. Like, I mean, I want to see. And
then of course there's Capwolf.
Capwolf.
You just bring Capwolf and drop him in.
Drag and drop. Capwolf already works.
Just as a Constantine-like character.
Maybe making Black Panther like. Maybe part panther monster type thing. Rocket Raccoon is just a evil weasel. There's options. I really would like a Wolverine in this, but not tied to vampire. I don't really care about vampire Wolverine, but I like Wolverine navigating a horror universe.
What about if you did something like maybe like
Frankencastle?
Well, I was thinking something like Hack Slash, and it's Punisher, and maybe he's got like a smaller female sidekick, and they take on other killers like slashers, slasher killers. I don't know who his partner would be. Maybe
Elsa Bloodstone.
that or like Squirrel Girl or something like that, or he's got so you've got Punisher and maybe he's, I don't know, been reanimated or something.
I can see. I mean, I know he's not really tied with the X-Men, but if you just made Punisher Vampire Hunter also, I would be all down for that.
Well, but you have to be careful because then you get into the Marvel Knights Punisher from 1998 when he was like all about he was in a big war between angels and demons.
Yeah.
And he had the weird mark on his head. So you don't want to go too far into that. But yeah, Punisher Vampire Hunter, that sounds cool. Just
Wolverine and Jubilee would be
Monster of the Week. Yeah.
Would be a fun. You know, I could see him like Wolverine hunting. It's Sasquatch, but he's Alpha Flight Sasquatch, but evil Midnight's version of Sasquatch.
And then Bob just blew the roof off Power Pack as the Children of the Damned. Good grief. Marvel, you can
maybe
have
that's
all
the only
ideas.
maybe that's the only way the Power Pack will sell.
Yeah, right.
Again, is doing that.
Children of the Corn or whatever. Yeah, Marvel, you can have all these ideas. Just make all of these.
You even had like in Old Man Logan, the Hulk in that is pretty horrifying. Is like The Hills Have Eyes. Creature,
kind of like a sort of like a redneck, and he had all his like redneck inbred like Vision. Ultron is horror AI. Holy cow!
Yeah, you get some like tech horror stuff that could be really cool. But also the it doesn't seem like the heroes are villains in this. Right? You know, it's easy to say like Black Panther, but he's a mean Panther guy.
Yeah.
But like, okay, how do we take those, but then like spin it in hero ways?
Yeah, I do like this. I like the idea of Wolverine Kitty Pryde better. I'm more of a Kitty Pryde fan than a Jubilee fan. Howard the Duck Vampire Hunter. That's your more humorous book. I'd read that though.
Wanda. Just put Wanda in there as like a witch.
She's a witch. Yeah, she's a witch, and maybe she is up to nefarious things, but she also doesn't want other witches getting in her business, so she takes them on so that then she can be left to her own devices. I mean,
it could be a
Elsa Bloodstone,
Wanda and Pietro as like, you know,
Hansel and Gretel.
But he's like trying to like temper her and stuff from all of that. It has been a long time since we have Elsa Bloodstone, which is sad. She's a holiday character. She's one of those like if there's a Halloween special, Elsa pops up in it, but she.
And then she goes away. She pops up every October for a month, and then she
was
goes
in
away.
Uncanny X-Men when they did that monster story arc recently.
Right. Yeah,
that was pretty okay.
Wasn't she in one of the One World Under Doom tie-ins? I can't remember. She was in something, but that may have been an October thing.
I will be interested. Like, is this Midnight X-Men? Is Dracula going to be in there? Because that is a pretty big Marvel character who's also a vampire. You know, just I guess like Blade, but you know, I know the old X-Men vampire story, he was leading he was the big villain in that. Yeah,
well, and that goes back to the question of are there also vampires that aren't mutants or you know? And I think if for your Avengers book, it's the Midnight Universe, so you just do the Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
The Midnight Suns are your team. That's your Moon Knight and your Ghost Rider. Put Doctor Strange in there, your Morbius maybe, or
Hot Claws Wolverine.
Yeah, just like that's your centralized book is Midnight Suns, and they take on like the really big threats while the X-Men are dealing with vampires and Spider-Man's doing whatever he's doing.
Okay, the one I want, which is a character I do not care about, is Namor as an ocean horror book where he's dealing with like
the Kraken
and like the deep ones, or kind of like Aquaman's the deep creatures. Like I think that would be, but make him kind of look like the 90s one with like the long hair and he's like Savage Submariner or whatever.
Yeah,
I think that could be really cool.
Golly,
but it comes out in October. Cool.
Inhumans as a Lovecraftian book,
that worked pretty well too. But what's different about this than the Absolute Universe or the Ultimate Universe is this is very genre specific. A lot of people don't. I mean, I love horror comics, but there's people who don't want horror comics, which does kind of pigeonhole this into a very it's a big demographic of people who like comics, but it's not as open as. The Ultimate Universe had Ultimate X-Men, which appealed to a very different crowd than Ultimate Spider-Man or Ultimate Black Panther or Ultimates. We saw tons of people who we didn't necessarily love Ultimate X-Men, but it did bring in a crowd who
tons of people
were
were
underserved in the publishing arm. This is a little different. This feels like it. I don't want to say it's one note because I don't think it is, because horror as a concept is not one note, but it does firmly place it in, an aisle at Blockbuster.
Right.
And not everyone shops on that aisle. So I'll be interested to see, does this have a way of pulling in people who, not that every book is for everybody, but I would say an entire universe of books does feel like maybe it needs some diversity in who it's, this is maybe not for you, but it's for this person.
Yeah, because they're all horror, and like you said, there's people who don't necessarily love horror books, so they're not going to check any of this stuff out.
Yeah,
I love horror books, so I'll read them all. But there are. But
it's an interesting marketing thing, because I don't know if any company has went this hard into a genre that is, if you went all sci-fi, some people don't like sci-fi, but I would say it's less polarizing than horror. So yeah, this is going to be kind of a big experiment as well.
Yeah.
For Marvel.
Yeah, when we were thinking about like what could they do with another, completely separated universe, my mind always goes back to Dark Ages. I love that book from Tom Taylor, that 6-issue book. And I was like, what if there was a universe full of books set in this continuity where the power went off and we still have the heroes and they're still doing heroic things, but it's more, but they don't have any electricity. So they're more like steam powered, and it's almost like a fantasy book, but it's not fantasy setting. And, so I was like, man, I would love to read Dark Ages Spider-Man and Dark Ages Iron Man, because he had like his steampunk armor and stuff. So, and I think that might, that has a little bit more mass appeal than this, but I don't know. Maybe it's what, just talking about it here makes me more excited about it. And what we've seen over the last couple days, especially from like this right here, I love the look of that. Cyclops Vampire Hunter sounds really cool. So just talking about it does make me more excited for it. The fact that it's coming out in October, and that's the only thing coming out that week, so we can really focus on that stuff. I'm kind of into it.
Craig the Geek says Rocket or Groot as an alien story. I say both. And Rocket lives inside of Groot and then busts through his chest.
Oh, well, last one, Secret Invasion via Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, actually, like, takes on their bodies.
Yeah.
That could be cool. I would love to see, and I hope there is interpretation, because I think that's where the fun in this comes, is interpreting characters in a different way. Like, what are Skrulls in this universe? Are they more of, like, Mars Attacks? Are they like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something like that?
Do they even exist? Yeah, all new, all different. This is way all new, all different. Neos on TikTok, how you doing? So I don't know. So for the folks watching, like, what do you guys think about the Midnight Universe? At least what we know so far. Do you think it's a complete waste of time? Are you intrigued? Maybe you want to check it out just to see what it's all about, where it may go. Because I'm very interested in just seeing what it's all about and how big the stories are and things like that.
Intrigued for sure, but skeptical. I think is probably the majority thing, and it's probably what Marvel figures most people are where they're at this point.
That's fair. Intrigued with skeptical, staying a little bit guarded. I can understand that, not totally buying in, but it's one of those, okay, you have my attention.
You have my attention. It is not on my pull list yet.
Right.
What I need probably some interior pages, something like that, to really make my ultimate decision, especially stuff like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Some of that. I'm guessing we'll hear a lot at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be, if Marvel doesn't have a booth that half of it is midnight, like the whole side of it is a big midnight poster.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised.
Vixen wants you to draw the Groot rocket on a sketch cover.
I just think he pops out of his chest, but just with like big guns.
Yeah.
So, like,
you said Rocket pops out of Groot's chest? Yeah, because that makes sense. Because he's a big tree.
I think if he popped out of Rocket would be dead.
Yeah, he pops out,
SDCC is going to be huge this year.
I think so.
I think so too, because I think pretty much
second the sketch.
All of the companies are actually pretty primed for some big things.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have on years and then we've got like the follow-up year where things are kind of like coasting off of their big events.
Right.
I think we're getting to the like, oh, we're gonna hear some big stuff at this one if they choose to reveal it at this and not at a following con or something.
Jacob has a good question about the price. So according to the catalog, Midnight Fantastic Four #1 is $5.99
for 40 pages.
For 40 pages. Midnight
20 of those may be ads.
Right. But Midnight X-Men #2, when we get to the #2s, it looks like it's $4.99 for 32 pages. Yeah, so it looks like, the first issues are a little bit longer, so they're going to be $1 more, and then it slides back into the $5 territory. And this is a good point too from Bob. There's so many books out there that I already know that I want. It's going to be hard for me to put down cash for Midnight Marvels. I understand.
And that's true, I think, with anything that gets announced.
Yeah.
There's a lot kind of fighting for your wallet. And
everybody wants you to do the sketch on TikTok, by the way.
Okay.
You have to do that.
I got to get a fifth. But and I think it does. We're again not bashing on Marvel. I just think people have been burned, even going to the Ultimate Universe, of thinking that they were signing up for something longer or something different. That I think people are a little bit more hesitant. DC has bought a lot of goodwill with the Absolute Universe. So, Absolute Green Arrow comes out and it sells huge. I think Marvel is a little bit more of like, okay, Marvel, if I'm going to put up the money, I need to know that I'm going to get not a return on my investment, like profit, but like I want to be buying in on something that we know you're going to support.
Yeah.
And is going to be going on for at least as long as the writer feels the story needs to and not get cut short. Because that's how I feel like stuff like She-Hulk. Yeah, you're a different person, totally.
Well, so that makes me think of like Google. Like Google had their game streaming Stadia.
Yeah.
And I bought into that. I bought the little device and the controllers, like $100 or whatever. And I was a little bit nervous because Google doesn't always keep things around. And about a year later, they canned it. So that's kind of the same thing where it's like, I'm going to go all in on this, or I'm going to not invest, but I'm going to buy into
it. Yeah.
And then just a year later or whatever, it's gone. And if it's going to be something like that, I don't want to bother.
Yeah.
But if it has staying power, then yeah, I'll jump in. But
I think that is my hesitation right now. Is I was really excited for Stephanie Phillips' She-Hulk book.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, this is cool. This is like Planet Hulk, all of that. And the signs were there that like we've saw other books be like, hey, didn't it say that was 10 issues and now it's 7? Now it's 5.
It's a little bit unfortunate because Marvel and DC go the exact opposite ways. DC does 6-issue miniseries that get extended, and Marvel does 10 issues that actually end up getting cut.
Yeah,
so.
And I don't know how they can assure me at this point without seeing it happen. I need to see Midnight X-Men or Midnight Fantastic Four, whatever, get to 10 issues with no end in sight. And then maybe I'll feel a little bit more comfortable being on board with it.
Right.
But even, Ultimate Spider-Man, once we learned it was ending, we saw people just jumping ship on it because you go like, oh, okay, well, I was kind of hoping for something else. Not that I was ever promised something else, but it does, it's obvious when stories didn't get to reach their full potential. Yeah. And we know that about Ultimates that these didn't know it was ending and then had to kind of like retroactively change it.
And speaking of that, Larry says Ultimate Universe started so well and then completely lost me. Yeah, it did fizzle out,
And I don't know what that was up to. I don't think it was up to the writers. Now the Midnight Universe, the writers are really, I don't want to say harping on, but Philip Kennedy Johnson's like, this is, without saying this is creator owned, they have the freedom as writers that, they've never had before or whatever. And I hope that's true. And then I'll feel better about it.
Yeah, I think it would be neat if Marvel would, maybe on this or on something, Marvel says, you know what, we are going to commit to this regardless of sales. We may, it's going to be like an experiment. We're going to commit to this. Even if the sales aren't there, we're going to stick with it for a guaranteed 5 years. We may end up losing some money off of it, but it's also a gamble because if people see that, hey, we're in year number 3 of this Midnight Universe, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
Let me go try it out. Maybe they might, it's a gamble. They might lose some money if people don't jump on, but also if they do commit to it, guaranteed, then people may jump onto it because of that, and then they may see rewards.
Do the thing, keep the books if they're selling out. Make them like the Absolute books, always available. People can catch up.
Yeah,
you don't kind of like close the door after everyone's in. Like you make it available. You make the trades available, everything, because that's how you, for the Absolute universe, is keep getting new people on board. Is they heard people talk about it and they come in and they want it. Well, you immediately lost somebody if you come in and you're like, you can't, sorry, number 1 is sold out, the trades are sold out, you've lost them there. Make it available, and give it at least 2 to 3 years, say, or 25 issues or however you want to do it, guaranteed and tell people like it could go longer depending on sales. And at least you felt like, well, I've got a good year or 2 ahead of me with this.
Yeah, G Black says Doctor Strange and Sorcerer Supreme both are ending at 10 issues. I think, they kind of burn themselves. Like everybody assumes that everything's going to get canceled at 10 issues now, so that doesn't help. And
it doesn't help that it's books that people are enjoying or that are selling.
Yeah.
But then you can't be like, well, I don't really know when the rug's going to get pulled out from underneath me. Like with the entire post-Imperial event.
Oh, yeah.
All of that stuff got cut, including book that didn't even get to come out with Exiles.
And that's the one I was really excited about. I wanted to see the next phase of that story.
I do get that, like, and this is not to Marvel Creative. This is not to the writers, the artists, anything. It's just like either have confidence in your books or something, or don't announce things till you have confidence in them, because that's my holdup with Midnight, which I'm going to check out. Of course, we're going to check it out for the show. But adding to my pull list, I need to see some confidence behind Marvel, and not just the writers, but something that shows me that, like, oh, they really are invested in this.
Because the creators are going to be, feeling good about their stuff. They're going to have confidence in it, but we need, like, the people in charge of pulling the plug. We need them to show some confidence too. And I realized that before we start talking about this, I had said, I'm tired of all the Marvel bashing. We're not bashing Marvel. We're just more speaking facts at this point. Like, here's what we would like to see to really get us invested in this.
I'm no way saying that this is going to be terrible. I actually think this is probably, like most of the things, like I'm going to like some more than others.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be one I really like. And I do hope that this line goes further. I guess the difference between us and people who really bash is we don't take joy in anything doing bad.
I don't want anything.
I want everything to be doing as best as it can, because I would love to have a hard time deciding, because everything is so great.
Right.
So this is me saying I only want the best for these. I want these to be awesome. However that looks.
Yeah, I want Amazing Spider-Man to be great. He's my favorite character. I want that book to be awesome. It's not right now, but I want it to be. I do not
revel in them doing poorly or the struggles that they go through.
Yeah. Craig the Geek says, honestly, one of the reasons I mainly do trades lets me know if I need to invest my money into it. Yeah. I wish there was something about, I wish nobody would cancel a series until after the trade comes out.
Yeah.
And we say, hey, let's see what those sales are on that trade before we start making any decisions about canceling anything. And unfortunately, that's not how it goes. I need Marvel executives to actually show they care, says Neos on TikTok. Yeah. You just show that they have confidence.
I would say put we have Scott Snyder at DC, who almost feels like the liaison between creative and editor.
Mm-hmm.
Put Chip Zdarsky at that role at Marvel. It does feel like they've given him some power over there, and I think he's a right person to have that, because I do think, even though he writes, some funny stuff, some genre stuff, I think he understands comics as a whole. And let him be that person who speaks on behalf of DC, or speaks on behalf of Marvel, like Scott Snyder does on DC, and assure people and say, like, hey, Marvel is really behind this. We need a voice like that. executive, like the higher ups don't really talk that much, but we need someone to give us, hey, I talked to them, and this is going to be really good.
Yeah, I like what Neo says on TikTok. I'm loving current Moon Knight and X-23. I'm scared they'll get canceled at 10. I'm not reading X-23, but yeah, one of my greatest fears is that Moon Knight's going to get canceled because I just feel like not enough people are reading it, and everybody should be. So yeah, I'm terrified about that. I like what Bob says here about a horror anthology where it's a single book with 4 different tales, and if one of the stories isn't catching, they can drop it and pick up another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, start small.
Honestly,
Midnight Tales, yeah.
Would this have been smarter to just call it Midnight X-Men? I don't know if you said like a 6-issue miniseries or chapter 1.
Well, I think if they had said, "Hey, we're doing a new miniseries," I think to me, my brain turns on. It's like I don't really, I don't really want to invest in miniseries. I might get the trade afterwards, but I don't want to buy individual issues of something of just a 6-issue thing. So I think that if they had done that, it would have pretty much been dead straight out of the gate. Maybe.
Yeah, they should just use the word ongoing more.
Right.
Just to let everybody know, because I think there's a lot of people, just like with the absolute books, people are like, so how many issues is this going to? People already asked that about those, and they're ongoing. Make sure people know that the Midnight Universe is ongoing. And I think people would start being like, Marvel wouldn't use that word if they're planning on canceling it.
Well, I mean, they've done it before.
Yeah, they've done it before. But
I think all they need to do is just at least once say this is going to be ongoing, and then actually, because every time they say it's ongoing, people are really skeptical. It's like, yeah, right, you'll cancel it at 10. But when a series gets up into like issue 20, issue 30, people might sit up and say, hey, wait a second. It really is going on. It's been going for 3 years now. Holy cow. Maybe we should check it out.
Any book can get canceled at any point.
Yeah.
But if I look at like X-Men, like Jed MacKay's X-Men, I feel like they're not going to cancel that. If it ends, it's going to end with some big event, and it'll be Jed MacKay will leave after that. That will be planned. But it's because it has a higher number that I go like, I think that one's okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just start Midnight X-Men at issue 33 and
and
be like, yeah, okay, it's ongoing.
Yeah, just fool everybody. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I just, based on even this conversation today has made me more excited about it. All this new information that we've seen has made me more excited about it. So again, cautiously optimistic. We're gonna keep our guard up, but we're gonna go in with good intentions and hope for the best. And
these will be up for pre-order in not too long if they're hitting solicitations now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
this is for October.
Oh, that's weird because this is the September catalog. And
it's got number 2 of X-Men, but number 1 of Fantastic Four.
Right,
even though they're releasing on the same day.
Well, this is before. This came out before, or this was put together before they said they were going to push everything back. So, because this still says August, September, October. This is what we're. So this is the new Marvel catalog for September, but on the inside it still says that those are coming out August, September, October.
So that shows you that was a recent decision.
It was a very recent decision, to push everything. So this does not reflect the fact that they have now been pushed to October.
Hopefully that's a good thing. Hopefully that's. They're thinking about it, they care about it, and they're strategizing about how to do it.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to call it there. But yes, very good discussion. I'm looking forward to talking about all of this stuff when it comes out. I hope we're all surprised with how amazing it is. I hope we all go in and really enjoy it, and I hope that
it's the new talking point. Everybody wants to talk about the Midnight Universe.
I hope it's one of those books that I mentioned. It's like, dude, did you read Midnight X-Men number 1? Holy cow, that was awesome. So hopefully it'll be one of those.
Yeah, and we've got San Diego Comic-Con coming out very, very soon.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot to talk about, probably for a few live shows.
Yeah.
Breaking that apart. Maybe we'll do a special something as it's going on, or updates or something. I don't know. But I always love San Diego Comic-Con and talking about it and the announcements and getting all the announcements. I wish it was live streamed somewhere.
Right.
It would be really fun to live stream and talk about announcements and stuff. RIP E3. But so stay tuned for that. Be on the lookout, because there's going to be even bigger, more fun stuff to talk about coming up very soon.
Yep. So yeah, we're gonna call it there. Thank you guys so much for spending your new comic book day evening with us. We just posted our comics to pre-order in a flash video where you can see 10 of the books that are on pre-order. They're on FOC this weekend. Of course, we'll have our comics from the future video on Friday where we will go over all of those and a lot more, and we'll show a bunch of variant covers. Next week, for our preview video on Monday, not as big of a week as this week, but it's still a lot of stuff. There's no small weeks anymore, so don't forget that. But yeah, so just all kinds of good stuff coming out.
Okay, so next,
oh, you got it.
Yeah, is Batwing #1.
Okay,
that was I remember really liking Batwing.
Okay.
Surprised how much I liked it, and this is the first version of Batwing. It changed over to being his brother later. Very interesting art on that, very different. So yeah, if you want to read along with us in our new 52 review 15 years later, make sure to check out Batwing #1. It probably, if you have the DC Unlimited app, it probably, I'm guessing it's on there.
Yeah, that's how I've been reading it.
I've been reading it on the Global Comics app, so you can get it if you want to read along. And yeah, so we've got some good ones coming up. Batwing, then Detective Comics, then Green Arrow, and then Hawk and Dove.
Oh boy,
buckle up, Buttercup. Yeah. We're having a good time.
Arkham on TikTok. I don't think we have that cover. I don't see it on the website. We do have the A cover of Flash 34, but I don't see the DNA.
Oh,
cover.
The David Nakayama cover.
Yeah, I don't see that on the website. Yeah, G Black, thank you for being here. Everybody on YouTube, everybody on TikTok, thanks for watching. And we will see you guys again real soon.
Bye-bye.